Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Words for Life. My name is Stephen, and I'll be your host today. This is the podcast where we try to motivate and inspire through quotes, phrases, ideas, and people. Today, we're going to look at a quote from a book. The book is Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. Very good book. I highly recommend that you go check it out. You can find it at your local library, probably on a lot of the ebook libraries that are out there as well for free. It's a good read. It gives a good insight into how we can look for a good way to modify and improve our mindset. So let's get into the quote. The quote goes, "Why waste proving how great you are when you could be getting better?" This is the kind of interesting idea that so many of us spend time proving our worth to somebody else. And that is really wasted time. The amount of time we are working towards showing others that we are accomplished, or showing others that we have a good life, or showing others that they need to pay attention to us in some way or another, is not always, but in many times, a waste of time. If somebody really wants to pay attention to what you're doing, they will. You don't need to force them, and you don't need to prove your worth to them. If you go listen to some of my previous episodes, we talk about your worth is only determined by you. So going back to the quote, when we go and waste time, really, when time is one of our own most precious assets that we have available to us, and we never really get it back. But when we waste time proving how great we are, we could be getting even better. Think about all the times you've tried to convince somebody around you of how good you are at something or how accomplished you are. Oftentimes you feel like you need to do this in order to gain that person's respect or that person's affection, or otherwise some sort, you're hoping to gain something from them by proving your worth to them. But like I said, this is a waste, and you really only need to prove the worth to yourself. So if you feel like what you've done is good enough or what you wanted to accomplish, you don't need to prove it to anyone else. It's all in your own mind about how worthy or how much your worth is. So this goes back to the second part of the quote. If you're wasting time proving yourself to somebody else, that means you're wasting time and not getting better. So rather than spending time trying to convince someone else that you are this fabulous person, this wonderful person, or whatever you are trying to convince them of, spend that time focusing on a way to improve that thing you're trying to convince them of. That better use of time will allow you to grow further than you might have if you had wasted it. It seems pretty obvious. However, I think some people really need to hear that. I have been caught up myself trying to show someone else how much I know. And so I keep talking and keep talking to try and convince them. And what I've realized through some of those interactions is that if they really cared, they would pay attention and they would listen. But I'm trying to seek validation and worth through someone else rather than appreciating the knowledge that I have or the insight that I have, knowing that I built up and developed to get to where I am. And I'm wasting time. I wasted that time trying to convince somebody else of my knowledge. Now, like I said, there are situations where this might be necessary. If you are trying to get some sort of certification or a license, you need to prove your knowledge via a test, via debate, depends on what it is. So there are situations where that is appropriate. But if it is in like everyday conversations or in a workplace that isn't related to your performance review, any of those types of situations, it is probably a waste of time. You know what your own greatness is. You have been with yourself the entire time as you've struggled to grow and develop. So you know what that is. So you don't have to prove it to anybody. And hopefully you don't have to prove it to yourself. If you do, it's probably time for a different conversation regarding how you evaluate yourself and show your own worth to yourself. So instead of spending that time trying to convince or prove your worth or your greatness to someone else, make yourself better. Go spend more time reading and learning and understanding and doing more for yourself to make that action, that behavior, that knowledge, that skill greater than what it is today. And people who do care, they'll eventually start paying attention. You don't have to spend the time convincing them or proving to them. Your actions will be the proof. You don't need to do anything else besides just do your best to make yourself even better. So, do you find yourself trying to prove your worth, your greatness, your knowledge, your skill to others? Is it a common occurrence in your life as you seek validation from other people? If you find yourself in this situation, I challenge you this week to evaluate those situations. Use your journal, as we often talk about. And if you find yourself trying to prove your worth, your greatness to someone, write it down. Analyze the situation. Figure out what it is that was driving you to try and prove yourself. Is it your boss that you're trying to show that you're better than someone else? Is it a friend or a spouse or a family member that you're trying to convince that you have done great things in your life and you are looking for affection? Those evaluations are going to help you understand why you're trying to prove yourself to someone else. It will also help you begin to question your own thoughts about your own self-worth. If you find yourself trying to convince of something particular, take that apart, dissect it, figure out why you're doing it. What is your why behind that action? As you dig into that, you might find out that it's because you don't appreciate the actions you've done, or you don't feel like the work you've done is that important actually. And then it comes to, well, is it should be a priority, or should I shift to something else? If it is something you enjoy and you want to do, but it turns out you're trying to seek affection or attention, you need to reset your mindset to think about inward. Think about your own validation or proof to yourself that I've accomplished this, I've done this, I've learned this, I've gained this skill, and really focus on the inside. When you focus on the inside and what's in here, you'll start to appreciate all the things you've done. And then you will begin to stop wasting your time proving to someone else and gaining more time back to either get better or do different things. So this week, I challenge you, write down the instances where you encounter that you are trying to prove yourself to someone else, and dissect them and try and make it better and find out why you might be doing it. If you find out what that is, you have a better chance of overcoming. The more we understand about our actions, the more visible they are to us, the better chance we have of changing them. If you have some situations in your own life where you have gone and overcome this need to prove yourself to others, please reach out to me and let me know. I'm very interested in the stories of others and how they have overcome various challenges in their life. And this is a challenge that can be easily overlooked because we don't think much of it. So I would love to hear about those stories. So please reach out to me. Let me know what they are. And as a reminder, I am offering coaching services. So if this is a challenge in your life and you have difficulty overcoming the idea of self-worth and how you can go and set goals for yourself and inspire yourself, or even perform at a higher level than what you do today, please reach out to me at my website. I'll have it listed in the description, and love to hear more from you. So remember, why waste proving how great you are when you could be getting better? Focus on how you can do more for yourself than trying to convince others what you're doing for them. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Words for Life. Please join me on the next one. Thank you, and have a great day.